Just kind of brush off old Bessie here. That's the old trowel for the water line. But I also I'm gonna dip these, make sure there's no like big dirt on them. Let this sit there for a minute. A little while. Anyways. Hey, what's up, man? It's about that time of year. That's what you're going to probably start hearing a lot from a lot of trappers out there that are finally getting ready for the upcoming season. Me, on the other hand, this is not the time I want to start getting my traps ready. I like to kind of personally have them done a whole hell of a lot sooner, and I just like to try and get everything knocked out as fast as I can, and that way, if something comes up towards the end of the season, when I say season, the summer month, or early fall before trapping actually starts, if I need to do something or go get new permission or switch something up in my from my original plan to now another plan, I would like to have all that time. And I know that's being kind of minuscule, especially when people saying I'm getting my traps ready. I mean, getting them ready right now I think is a really good time. I prefer to do it a lot sooner. So I'm not bashing anyone for saying, hey, we're going to start getting our traps ready. I just personally I don't like to do it that soon. But there's a lot of different techniques and methods that you can use, and this goes for doing your waterline traps or your dry land traps. And for both the dry land and the water traps, there's several steps that you can follow pretty much to a T, and then towards the end, like when we talk about the finishing of the product or the finishing of the equipment, that's when we kind of split hairs there, splitting differences. I have a preference for my dry land traps, and then I have a preference for my waterline traps. And let's just go ahead and dive into those. So, diving into the methods, what you're going to do is you're going to use your traps this past season. So you're taking your traps from the ground essentially to a bunch of piles. A bunch of piles meaning as you're going through them, you're seeing which ones are caked, which ones are pretty much, almost ready to pass the test. And then, if you're noticing some that don't have name tags or need repairs, just some TLC really. You could do 3 different piles. You could even maybe do 4 different piles. And it depends, if you have 4 dozen traps, you can still do this, but I don't know if it's going to be that hectic for you. But, if you start getting up into the hundreds of traps that you're using, it's just something I like to do. I like to just split them up into piles, and the piles that I split them up into, that's in accordance with my parameters. So, like I said, if they need name tags, repairs, any TLC tweaks. So those piles get sorted and cleaned, and then any of the repairs, adjustments, etc., they all get finished or finalized with it, which has been, it's nice. It's just doing it all in a kind of a factory type situation. Now, after we do like the rough screen is pretty much what I call that, they're ready to be power washed. And power washed is, then you can go and lug these things in the back of your pickup like a moron, or you can go buy a power washer. You're going to have the power washer, and you're probably going to save a little bit of money over the course of the life of the power washer, and with how many traps you have to do, etc., etc. But you can do either or. If you have a hose, you can spray them. Do whatever. But I would recommend buying you a power washer, cheap power washer. You can get one from Amazon. Don't be a cheap bastard. Just go out and buy one and have it, and then you'll be better off in the long run. So after the power washing is complete, after that's all done, they're going to kind of get a once over, and it's the last time that they're going to be getting looked at, and that's when I'm bundling them up. And I like to put them in bundles of 4. So that's how many traps my stainless steel wax pot can hold. They're getting bundled up, that once look over, and then they're getting ready. That's it. Now it's time to start dipping. And that's when we say, you can get into your full metal jacket, your sprays, your powder coats, just your regular dyeing wax. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. And when it comes to my preference on what I'm doing for my traps, The superior method is this method for land traps. And maybe I'm a little narcissistic for saying it, but this is the best way to do land traps, and that is to dye and then wax them. And not dye them in a logwood dye, but to get like a walnut hull and actually soak it and get the tannic acid from it. You can, there's two methods here that kind of, and that's boiling them in the walnut hulls. And then this is a method, I don't know if too many people talk about it, but it's doing a cold soak, essentially filling up a big 55-gallon drum or a couple of them, getting your mixture in, getting your walnut hulls in, and then dipping your traps in. So once the traps are in there, then you're gonna leave them in for anywhere from 36 to 48 hours. I prefer 48 hours, but you can get by with 36. You're gonna get a phenomenal coating on them. You're gonna get a phenomenal breakdown of any junk, funk. You will see from just my own experience that you're gonna get a better longevity out of your traps. And people can say what they want, but they're wrong. So, like I said, you can either boil them or you can cold soak. If you're in a pinch and you gotta get them done quick, maybe boil them. I wouldn't do it. But the cold soaking, if you got a weekend or anything, then just set them over the weekend. Maybe set them on a Friday. Let them set all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then you pull them out middle of the day, maybe after church on Sunday. Then you can let them set and hang, get a nice air hang, and then say you have time throughout the week, or you have that next following weekend open, then you can wax them. And that's why, going back to the beginning saying, oh, this is the time to start doing your stuff. Well, in my opinion, no. I think you should try and get everything done as quick as possible so you don't have to worry about, am I rushed for time? Do I just need to dip them in Full Metal Jacket? Oh, how long do I have to let them hang dry from Full Metal Jacket? So you have a lot of stuff that can go wrong with every method. It's just, I think the best method for my land traps, and I don't think it should even be questioned, is the dye wax and then the cold soak dye wax. I don't like to boil my traps. I don't like to let them sit in there for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however long some of you yahoos let your traps sit. I don't want them to set in a bunch of heat for a while, especially when you have direct heat going and they're touching the direct bottom of the barrel. That's my opinion. Then you're probably going to say, well, when you're putting them in wax, you're putting them in, and you can look at some of my old videos, but it's like the wax temperature's around 167 to 180. And I only let them set in there for maybe 10, 12 seconds, 15 seconds tops. It does not take long, especially on a nice hot day when the traps are getting beat down by the sun. Those traps don't take super long to get the temperature in that wax. So down quick into them and out, and then we go to hanging, or you can go to laying them on cardboard or whatever. I've done everything, laid them on gravel, cardboard, wood. I've hung them up, I've hung them from chain, I've hung them from nails, you name it. I've done a lot of different trials, and really I just lay them on the on the gravel now. I don't really, and then when it's all said and done, I just pick up 2 bundles and smash them together, and the gravel goes flying, and I put them in totes. But for the water traps, just a dye or like a dip, like FMJ or Full Metal Jacket. I think I used Full Metal Jacket, whatever the can is with the red lettering on the front. I think maybe Full Metal Jacket, but it's quick, simple, easy. There's no problem. I mean, this is one of the Duke 1.5 double jaws that I dipped in it. It's a great trap. It's gonna be a great trap. And then I just add this chain extension to it. So gonna be a great coon trap, gonna be a great mink trap for me. Alexa, next. Alexa, stop. So I'm gonna wrap this up with paracord. Let's get to it. So I don't ever actually know 100% what I'm going to be getting into when I'm out on the line. Whether that's been from cuts or falls, accidents, car wreck, flipped equipment, rolling ATVs. I always like to have kind of miscellaneous little equipment, like this paracord. If I needed to wrap up something, make a little sling, tie something up, you know, comes in handy. Now we got her anchored down. I just modified the trowel, the water trowel a little bit. Just put a little paracord on it. It's actually a nice little handle too. But I like it, you know, I like it pretty compact, pretty close up. So you see that, just a tad shy of being as wide as it is. So, and that's the thing, is I don't want it to be as wide. I want it to be a little tight so I can kind of smash the set in there. So what I'm doing is whenever I'm digging my pockets, I'll kind of dig out like a shallow pocket, but the width is just shy of as wide as a dude. So that's how I set. And then I just put kind of little guide sticks right there. Nothing crazy. Sometimes don't even guide them. Just sit that, butt it up next to the hole or to the pocket, and put your bait in there. If they go in there, you got a high probability of catching. So you just put out a shit ton of those sets, you're gonna have a high probability of having a pretty damn good day. It's just running miles and putting out more sets than anyone else and having decent location. But I love that trowel. The only other trowel that I probably like more is the old Jim Digger, and I dipped this old trowel in that Full Metal Jacket shit as well. But the only thing that's better than those trowels is the custom trowel that Gary from the Hammer Trap line makes me. So give him a shout. I just sent him over all the specs for the trowel that I have. Tell him Colton sent you. Well, I think my bait's starting to take off. I've been having some repeat customers. This is that's the Apex Predator bait. What I'm going to be doing from now on is if you buy this from me from online, you're going to get a word on top, and after so many of these have been bought, the X number of whatever sales it is, let's say I get to 1,000, I'm going to give the person, whoever it is, I'll write winner on the top of your lid, and then I'll contact you because I'll have your contact info, and I'll send you a $100 gift card to for me, and then I'll personally get you a $100 gift card to wherever else you want to go. So, and if anyone wants to get in on this, that's fine. Just let me know. And don't forget, on social media, on my Facebook, once we hit 20,000 followers, I think we're real close to 17,000. So once we hit 20,000 followers, there's a huge giveaway. I pinned that to the top of my Facebook page, Coyote Academy. And so once we hit that, I'll be giving out a huge giveaway, and you can go check that out. But yeah, man, appreciate you watching.